Hello everybody, I'm KC, and welcome to another edition of Let's Talk About. Today, let's continue our Pokemon 20th anniversary celebration and talk about Lavender Town. It's October, so of course we're going to talk about something in Pokemon that is infamous for being very creepy or spooky. But in all honesty, at first, I didn't really want to make a Halloween-themed Pokemon video. I mean, good Arceus, everything scary or creepy about the Pokemon world, both in canon and fanon, has been covered to death on the internet. What more could I possibly say about the unusually dark things in this franchise meant for children? But then I came up with an idea. You see, every form of Pokemon media has a different way of interpreting the Pokemon world. Sure, everything from the games to the anime to the manga have things that are really messed up when you really think about them. But every form of Pokemon entertainment does something different. So today, we're going to look at the most infamous location in the Pokemon world, Lavender Town, and how this location is portrayed in various adaptations of Pokemon. Also, just to clarify right now, this will be a discussion on purely canon material. No fan theories, no headcanons, just what's directly presented to us from the Pokemon Company. So let's start where this all began, the games. So, why does everyone remember Lavender Town? Well, first, there's the obvious answer. In a game that is mostly sold as a fun adventure with magical creatures, the realization that Pokemon can die, and that there's a 7-story tower dedicated to the memory of them, is shocking. Heck, the only reason you explore the entirety of this place is because you have to rescue a man named Mr. Fuji who was trapped in the tower. But what's really creepy about this place is, if you were a dumb kid like me who went into the tower without the Silphscope, you were greeted by this nightmare. An unidentifiable spirit of a Pokemon that makes your Pokemon too scared to battle. That's pretty unnerving. But once you get the Silphscope and fight 100 Ghastlies, the game reveals one of the most remembered and heartbreaking stories in the Pokemon franchise. Team Rocket is also at the Pokemon Tower trying to collect rare Cubone skulls for profit. But when a Marowak tries to defend her child, Team Rocket presumably kill the Marowak. You heard that right. Team Rocket kill a Pokemon. I know they're the bad guys, but man, that's dark. And on top of that, before you can even battle any of the Team Rocket grunts at the top of the tower and rescue Mr. Fuji, you confront the ghost of that Marowak, and you can't move forward until you defeat it in battle. When you win, Mr. Fuji tells you that the restless spirit of Marowak is now at peace thanks to you. So, you were able to bring this ghost peace by beating the crap out of it? Okay. Looking back on it, it's no wonder this place became so infamous in the Pokemon fandom. The rest of the game is portrayed as a fun, light-hearted adventure. So when you take a detour into a place as dark and somber as this, even if it may not look scary, it leaves a lasting impact, especially on kids. From the concept to the unforgettable music, to the story that was told here, Lavender Town truly was a memorable location. Then the tower was changed to a radio station in Gold and Silver for some reason. Anyway, so now we've seen what the original Lavender Town had to offer. How does it hold up through adaptation? The episode of the anime that features Lavender Town, Tower of Terror, started the trend of haunted house-themed episodes featuring ghost Pokemon. And it also started the tradition of having the ghost Pokemon be misunderstood or not really trying to hurt anyone. There are exceptions to this, but more often than not, a Pokemon in a haunted house episode usually has more to it than just scaring people. In this episode, Ash and Co. head to Lavender Town so Ash can catch a ghost Pokemon to help him battle against Sabrina. Ignoring the fact that this is Generation 1 and Psychic Pokemon were strong against Ghost-type attacks. Wait, did they change that because of this episode? Well, anyway, probably the most noticeable difference between Pokemon Tower here is that it's no longer Pokemon Cemetery. Instead, it's just some weird abandoned tower with horns on it that the only 3 ghost Pokemon in Gen 1 happen to live in. Okay. For the most part, the episode is just Ash and the gang and Team Rocket getting mixed up in the ghost Pokemon's funny shenanigans, mostly through hit-or-miss slapstick. But Ash and Pikachu do eventually figure out that the ghost Pokemon just wanted to play with them. But they figure this out after they were crushed to death and turned into ghosts. This is the moment most people remember from this episode, since, while this would by no means be the last of Ash's near-death experiences, this was the first, and probably the most horrible in hindsight considering that they actually became ghosts. Well, who cares? They can fly now. Whee! But despite this being the thing most people remember about this episode, it only takes up about 3 minutes of screen time. That baffled me when I was watching this again. I thought it was at least a third of the episode. But no, they just hang out with the ghost Pokemon for a couple of minutes and hop back into their bodies unharmed. So wait, they weren't dead?
Well, it just so happens that your friend here is only mostly dead. There's a big difference between mostly dead and all dead.
So everyone walks out okay, and Haunter decides to tag along with Ash for a while. Fun fact, while Ash never officially captures Haunter, and Haunter leaves in the very next episode, to this day, this is the closest Ash has ever come to owning a ghost-type Pokemon. The more you know. Honestly, watching this again, Tower of Terror is kind of an underwhelming episode. There are some funny moments, but given the iconic location it takes place in, I did expect it to be a little creepier. I get that it's for kids, but so is everything else in this video. Given the choice, if you want a funny and appropriately creepy Pokemon episode, just go watch The Ghost of Maiden's Peak. It's much more memorable because it's, better. Sadly, the original anime didn't really give Lavender Town the treatment it deserved. Pokemon Origins, on the other hand, since Pokemon Origins was a mini-series that paid homage to the original games, the portrayal of Lavender Town is much more accurate than in the main anime. Some people have criticized the structure of the miniseries as a whole, saying that big gym battles shouldn't have been overlooked in favor of mostly just following Team Rocket. But to me, from a narrative perspective for a 4-episode series, it makes sense to follow the more plot-driven moments in the original games, which for the most part revolved around Team Rocket. Lavender Town is the focus of episode 2, and while it takes us until halfway through the episode to actually go to the tower, the build-up is great. From great details like the white hand one of the NPCs sees on your shoulder actually being there, to the fact that the extras mourn the same Pokemon the extras do in the game, to how the town handles Team Rocket's appearance. Team Rocket's appearance in Mr. Fuji's capture has the whole town concerned, but none of them can face the criminal organization. So when a 10-year-old kid with 3 badges says he'll go, they just go, sure, why not? Rather than call the police or something. Alright, so that's one not awesome thing, but the rest is pretty great. Like I said, Pokemon Origins follows the storyline of the games much better than its main series counterpart. So in Origins, the biggest focus is on the story of Cubone and Marowak, which to my knowledge is the only Lavender Town adaptation that even mentions this plot point. How they portray the Cubone and Marowak story is easily the highlight of the episode. We see the moment that Marowak protected her child from getting captured, and no, I am not going to question how Cubone has a skull on its head even though its mother is still alive. Honestly, the mythos behind Cubone was broken long before Origins came along. Then there's the heart-wrenching moment Cubone runs away as you can hear Team Rocket beating Marowak to death. I'm honestly not sure which one of these is more messed up, but this is pretty cruel. And they portray Cubone's grief wonderfully and respectfully, but Marowak still has some unfinished business. Now here's another deviation from the games. In the games, the reason they give for Marowak haunting the tower is simply because it's a restless spirit. But in Origins, once it's revealed the ghost in Pokemon Tower is Marowak, Marowak mentions why she's driving people away. Oh yeah, Ghost Marowak can talk. Did I forget to mention that? Turns out, Marowak was just making sure no one else got hurt by Team Rocket. That's actually a really nice idea. A protective spirit disguised as an angry one is clever, and it makes sense given what happened to her. This episode also reunites Cubone with the spirit of its mother. It's a very touching scene, and while it's never stated, I always saw this reunion as a conclusion to Marowak's mission, and why her spirit found peace. Her child was in good hands, and she may have seen Red as a strong trainer capable of freeing Pokemon Tower of Team Rocket, so she didn't need to protect the tower anymore. Again, this isn't directly said, but that's how I interpreted it, so make of that what you will. The Origins episode was a big step up from Tower of Terror, and while it's far from flawless, I found it a wonderful and emotional interpretation of this very well-known story in the Pokemon universe. So let's move on to the manga. Like the anime, there are 2 versions of Lavender Town in manga form, Pokemon Adventures and The Electric Tale of Pikachu. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get a hold of a copy of the Electric Tale of Pikachu story, so I can't really commentate on it. But I did read the Bulbapedia summary, and you should know that at one point a giant haunter sucks out Sabrina's soul. A far stretch from this, huh? But I can't properly talk about that one, so we saved the best for last, Pokemon Adventures. Pokemon Adventures seems to be one of those things in the Pokemon franchise that people either love, or have never heard of, or haven't gotten around to reading yet. Since I actually own some volumes of this manga, you can tell what category I fall under. There are storylines based on all the Pokemon games, but easily the most well-known is the first storyline during the first generation arcs where this story takes place. This story is the focus of chapters 13 and 14 of the Red and Blue arc, and is to this day some of the most infamous chapters in the entire Adventures universe for reasons that will become very clear very shortly. This time, Red wanders into Lavender Town and runs into Mr. Fuji. Yeah, instead of being captured by Team Rocket, Mr. Fuji's downgraded to the exposition machine for this story. During his exposition dump on Lavender Town, he mentions that Blue went into the Pokemon Tower 2 weeks ago and hasn't been seen since. Red investigates the tower to find the first dose of nightmare fuel, because he encounters, I'm not kidding, a horde of Pokemon zombies. The next few pages are Red trying to fight off the hollow corpses of beloved Pokemon in the most horrific ways imaginable. They pull no punches with the imagery here, including this delightful moment. Well, I'll give him credit. It's ambitious. Probably the most horrifying images Pokemon has ever given us, but ambitious. As the battle goes on, Red discovers that the zombies and a brainwashed Blue are being controlled by a Ghastly with hypnosis? I think? I don't know, they never really say. So through some quick thinking and the help of the ever-resourceful and underrated Bulbasaur, Red gets rid of Ghastly and frees Blue from its control. But it turns out that Ghastly was just another pawn in this grand scheme, since Blue runs off to get revenge on the person who turned him into a human meat puppet. And that person is... Koga.
What a twist!
Now you may be wondering why Koga is here and not Team Rocket. Well, actually, in the Pokemon Adventure series, Koga is a top-ranking member of Team Rocket. And while he's the only one to show up in the Lavender Town story, Sabrina and Lieutenant Surge are also members of Team Rocket. So that means that Team Rocket has agents in half of the gyms in the Kanto region. That's impressive, I think they're smarter than we give them credit for. Red and Blue then attempt to battle Koga's Arbok. Wait, I'll get to it. But they find out Koga's not really there. So Blue decides to use his distance from the battle against him. One of the things I love about Pokemon Adventures is the clever strategies used by the trainers. Pokemon are used in all sorts of resourceful and creative ways throughout the series, and here is no exception. Blue is able to outsmart Koga into accidentally having his Arbok attack the Psyduck corpse with acid. Okay, that's just nasty. And with the upper hand, Charmeleon is able to deliver the final... There it is! Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment that made this chapter one of the most infamous in Pokemon Adventures history. The moment where Blue's Charmeleon brutally murders an Arbok by slicing it in half. And over the chopped up remains of Arbok, Red comments on how good of a trainer Blue is. What?! Team Rocket killing a Pokemon is one thing, but these are our heroes. One of them commands his Pokemon to slaughter another, and the other commends him on a job well done over the body of said Pokemon. Also, I'm pretty sure that Ghastly belonged to Koga too, and it's not entirely clear if that made it out alright either, so they may both be murderers. For kids. At least Team Rocket had the decency to do this kind of thing off screen. I certainly give Pokemon Adventures credit for going all out. Sure, this may be a bit too much in terms of messed up imagery, but it's Lavender Town. They knew kids thought this place was scary, so I guess they wanted some bedwetting artwork and concepts to go with that. Still, pretty glad I didn't read this as a kid. So I think what we can take away from this is that Lavender Town really knows how to capture the imagination. Not just with fans, which it certainly has, but even through adaptation. Whether it's just another fun adventure of the week, or a spooky tragedy, or this, Lavender Town is a great way to show what each piece of Pokemon media has to offer, and what they can get away with. But if you're looking for something scary to celebrate Halloween with, Adventures is the only one that's going to have what you're looking for. Did you see that Psyduck? Come back next time to see what else I have in store for Pokemon's 20th anniversary. Until then, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.